girls and girls. Pretty good S2. Had a lot of power coming off the had really good early throttle that was really powerful there. Unfortunately, I overslowed, which is, there seems to be a direct correlation between not overdoing the entry to 1 in order, or 2 rather, in order to have, in order to do a really good one, like a point better than 0.10. Personally, the best I've done with a really fast entry into that complex, 0.8 something, is a 2.00. And that's right where the other guy on the board, Tazzy, who has an 8 something that's similar to my S1, although a bit slower, but only like 7/100ths. So, and I've done 0.05 and 0.08 and stuff like, I did a 0.08 the other night, like for example. And they're all with not with 3.98s rather, they're with 3.9s. And I think the best one I've ever done was a 3.9. 3.5 or 3.0 or something like that with a looks like a 0.05 finishing S2 time. Or no, 0.05 S2 time. I have no idea what that translates to in finishing on the clock. But probably... Oh, the one that I did that was 0.08 was... if I'm not mistaken, like a 0.045 on the clock. 9.045. Or something thereabouts. So I would imagine a 0.05 is going to be... that plays a bit down the line. dumb. Shouldn't slam the throttle down like that. I mean, obviously at that point it doesn't matter anymore, but still a bad habit. It's the one big difference between sim and real life. You can give up on things in sim in a way that you can't when you're actually driving, because, well, you are, after all, hurtling through time and space, 1 inch off the ground with a metal object. So you do have to kind of be careful. Like, for example, I would not take that turn to its logical conclusion in real life. Furthermore, none of these curves would be being eaten like this. I've been to AMP. This is not possible. The track, however, is perfect. And the curbs are actually perfect too. It's just that they're not perfect in the sense that they don't have the mass. And if you tried to do the curb stuff that we're doing here, I suspect you would find yourself upside down. Or with a cart that lasts half a lap before you've done something. Or broken something, or sheared something, or... Anyway, you know, further evidence that the real track time and sim track times are not... Well, okay, so my personal theory as to why the competitive a lap record or whatever, a competitive lap time at, you know, top level in a particular, for a particular track, and if you compare that to KartKraft, what the gang running at the top of the leaderboard are doing. And so the places that we have direct experience with that is, let's see, first of all, Marin Kremers at AMP. Marin did a KZ shifter video not too long ago of him doing a race at AMP, and I guess, you know, he's whatever purple lap of that particular race, which was a beautiful lap, and absolutely fantastic and very, very fast. It is about 4 to 5 seconds a lap. I can't remember exactly what. Slower than, let's say, you know, whatever our top leaderboard time was, non-glitched. And then similarly, let's think of something like PFI. The PFI X30 track record, I believe, was held for a very long time, or may still be held by Louis Westover in England. And I believe it was a 56 something, low 56. That may have been bested in recent years, but I'm not sure. But if it is, I believe it's still in the 56s. Anyway, and I was asking a fella who sounds like he raced at the, whatever, the top levels you would race as a young person in Europe. And he sort of confirmed that sort of 56-inch range sounds about right to him. So anyway, our fastest laps are 54-ish. my buddy Tongi, who's an alien, put down a low 50. No, I think he might have even gotten lower than that. I think I have a 54 something. Anyway, the top leaderboard is, again, like 3 to 4 seconds faster or something like that. In KartKraft versus PFI, which, again, is a fabulously exact sim. Just like AMP, to me it was perfect. So what's the difference? The difference is curb. If you look at Marin's footage, he's not doing the crazy shit that I'm doing in terms of mangling the curbs. Simply, like doing that would really not work. And I can't imagine that what I just did there, which involves, I'm making it pretty invisible by virtue of how I'm managing the fact that when you turn a cart, one side is more loaded than the other, and therefore you're kind of like tippy-toeing your way over that thing using the lean of the cart. But you got to get over it. That moment there, which can either flip you, or if you do it at the right glancing angle, you don't even notice it. So those curbs do have volume in the sense that there is shape to them, right? So for example, how I hit the curb matters. It's not a rectangle. It's the side of the curb is indeed rounded in that sense. But I think the depth of it or the severity of the angle or something is wrong. Because in real life, you would not do that. You just couldn't. See, so if you look at these, they're not bad, but they're not right. Unless I think Tongi tells me these things are textures, not actual objects. So you can't really make. So I think what my friend Tongi told me was that the problem with curbs and stuff like that is that if you give them a real volume, that's a lot of polygons that have to be rendered. So for things where it makes sense to do so, they use textures, which don't require polygons, which I guess which are easier to render. Now, I imagine over time, as we migrate over to Unreal 5 and as technology progresses, etc., maybe all that changes, but for now, some things, unfortunately, are not behaving the same in sim as they behave in real life, simply because, they're facsimiles that are compromised in order to work for you and I on our sub $5,000 PCs, if you know what I mean. Has to run on some relatively decent but nonetheless modest hardware. So I guess that's a problem. Look at me, I run a 3060 Ti, that's what I got. I'm not running a 1080 Ti, 3080 Ti or anything like that. So, for me to play this game at 90 FPS and in VR, a lot of my settings are low. Some of my settings are low, many of them. And then I have no crowd, no this, that, the other thing. You just focus on the stuff that matters most to the image quality to you and the headset, and kind of set the other stuff to low just to get better frames. I have a good CPU. I have a 9900K, so I'm not having any issues on that end. power-wise. I mean, the 3060 is a super powerful card in its own right. When I play normal video games on my desktop, you know, when you go to the settings, it runs everything at, you know, very high settings. Like Destiny, it's like basically sticking on the highest setting and you forget about it. Same with, so the one game that was surprisingly demanding is Diablo 4. That I needed to crank that down sometimes, but it was also actually wasn't so much. It was a combination of graphical and latency kind of issues that I had. This is Right, I think I have to let it sit here for a minute.
Hörde på rösten att du hade någonting att säga mig.